Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning, everybody. That lovely rendition of the national anthem was brought to you by the U.S. Navy Chorus. And that is from our 5th annual Calling All Veterans Day event that we had at the CB Museum this past year. So I welcome everyone who is enjoying and joined our show today. This is our 5th Calling All Women Warriors virtual conference, where RI Elder Info brings you and your community information for our women warriors, our women veterans of all eras. We want to make sure that we reach the tens of thousands of women veterans that are here in Rhode Island. So make sure that you hit the like button, the share button, all the bells and whistles and social media cues that say, hey, check this out, good stuff. So for those of you who may not know, I am Deb Burton, Executive Director of RI Elder Info, which is a nonprofit here in Rhode Island located right in Quonset. And we are dedicated to bringing information and resources to the community that is going to empower ourselves to age independently, as well as support our caregivers. And we have a special passion for those who have served and those who care for those who have served. Now, to be clear, I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. I am not a veteran. I am not even a family member of a veteran. But what the organization is, and I personally believe, is if a man or woman signs on the dotted line to give me freedom and ease of life, and quite possibly lay down their life while doing it, then it's our responsibility to give back what we can. And what I can do and what RI Elder Info can do is give out information and resources. So thank you for joining us for our 5th Calling All Women Warriors virtual conference. Make sure you hit the like, the share, all the social media buttons. If you have questions for the guest, drop them in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know about your support for our women warriors. So with that, I would like to introduce a dear friend of mine, Erica Westbrook, with the Newport Mental Health Veterans Program. Hi, Erica.
Good morning, Deb. How are you?
Very good. So please tell everybody what is happening at Newport Mental Health.
Oh, lots of things going on. As Deb said, my name is Erica. I am a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and the Veteran Services Coordinator here at Newport Mental Health. Holy cow, we have so much going on. What do you want to know?
So when you started, did
Yes.
Newport Mental Health have a program dedicated to veterans?
Not a specific program, no.
Okay.
We do, and we have for years. We have treated veterans and active duty military along with their families and caregivers, but there was not a dedicated team, which
Okay.
is something that I was able to help facilitate with and help create. So we do now have a dedicated team of veterans that work with all veterans and active duty military that come in.
And why is it important to have it be a veteran dedicated team? What makes it unique?
The uniqueness is that we are veterans ourselves. The case manager is also a veteran. The outreach staff is family members, has family members who served, as well as myself, obviously, who, coordinates all things veteran and military here at the agency. So I think it makes it a little more, it makes us more relatable.
Okay.
It makes it, I think, a little bit easier to convey some of the struggles that they may be experiencing because we've been through the same things. So, and we have, similar symptoms, similar struggles, which again just makes it easier.
It's interesting to me um, that the experience for our veterans is different from what I've been told because I'm not a veteran. That the conversations listening as a civilian are very different. So, a friend of ours, general conversation had said, well, the first time I got blown up as a civilian, I'm like, what do you mean the first time? How many times have you been blown up? 3? Well, that's one of those things that if she had been speaking with another veteran, there wouldn't have needed to be a clarification.
Correct.
Like for me as a civilian, I'm thinking like in the movies, you get blown up, you go home. So it's
that is correct. Movie magic. It happens that way a lot of times where someone will get blown up or somebody will get shot, and an hour later they're fine and they're going home and they're on the road to recovery.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, in real life, that is not always the case. And there are a lot of mental health struggles that are related to that. There's PTSD, which is huge, where, you're just constantly thinking about the fact that you got blown up, the flashbacks and nightmares, and being able to discuss those with someone who's been there, done that, makes it a little bit easier because then you're sharing the load. You don't have to carry it on your own. That there is a family member there, and truly anybody who signs on the dotted line becomes a family member. We're not related by blood, we're not related by DNA, but you are my brother. And I personally kind of live by that creed. And I'll put the word sisters in there, but like I am my brother's keeper. Because if I'm not there for him, who's going to be?
I hear that. And, one of the things is asking for help can be hard. And
Yes.
so what does Newport Mental Health do that makes it easier for folks to reach out?
Honestly, I think a lot of it is we have the outreach where we go to them. If they're not able to come into the office for whatever reason, we get a phone call that says, hey, I got a guy. Okay, where's he at? We will meet them wherever they are. If they're at home, if they're under a bridge, we're going to go to where they are. We're going to help facilitate transportation to get them to the resources they need, either whether it's medical or mental health. We're going to have resources available to connect them with VA resources. We actually now have, so I work in partnership with a couple of other people But I do assist veterans in filing service connection claims. I can help enroll them in VA services if that's what they're looking for. So there's a lot that I think, again, just having somebody who is relatable to them. That's my case manager sneaking in behind me. His name's Dan. Don't
Hi,
be sorry.
Dan.
Wave hi to Facebook land.
Oh, this is Facebook Live?
It is Facebook Live. So
Awesome.
okay.
Nice.
So he's a riot.
It's good that you have a team that all works together so that
do.
you can
I
do this
do.
and you can cover your cases. Yes.
No, exactly. And it's nice that we have, veterans of both sexes, truthfully, of both
Yep.
genders, because for, with me meeting with the female vets who are, have been coming in, and we've been getting more female veterans and active duty that are coming in. I think it makes it easier when I'm able to meet with them, knowing that we have two different genders on staff, where a male veteran or male active duty service member may be more comfortable talking with a male case manager. I have that. Like we can do that. So we have, weekly groups that we meet with, and we meet with individuals too. So
When do your
And we
weekly
have-
groups meet?
we have weekly groups on Thursdays from 1 to 2 here at the office at 42 Valley Road in Middletown. We do meet, like I said, from 1 to 2. We do some peer, like chit-chatting if somebody's having a hard week.
Mhm.
It's a non-clinical group. So there is
Okay.
no clinician going, you need to do this, you need to do this. It's very all about just discussing with each other, and sharing stories of how we each got through whatever the struggle was. So
And then
when the weather's
somebody-
nice,
If somebody identifies that they would like more help, more, say, clinical structure, are they able to get that through your program?
yes. We actually, we have specific women's groups that are empowerment groups, growth and empowerment. We have weekly DBT groups that meet here that
What's
are
DBT?
clinical. Dialectical behavioral therapy.
Okay.
There's the DBT group that meets. We have an IOP program here, so that if there are veterans that are struggling with substance use, we have an IOP, an intensive outpatient program that runs Monday through Friday that we can also refer them into, to get them that extra support that they need.
That's awesome. Now, we have a lot of veterans who are unfortunately experiencing substance use disorders, homelessness, mental health crisis. Am I understanding correctly that Newport Mental Health can help them across the spectrum with those things?
Yes, we can.
Do they
So again,
have to
we
be
can
like a certain percentage service connected to get the help, or have a certain kind of insurance coverage? How does that work?
No, we help everybody regardless of their ability to pay. We are one of 8 CCBHC agencies in the state of Rhode Island. Meaning it's a fancy designation, and please don't ask me what the acronym is because I honestly cannot remember. It's a community. There we go. Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic is what we are. So it doesn't matter what insurance you have. Everybody can come in. You do not need a service percentage. I'll help you get your service percentage if that's what you're looking for. We take referrals from the Navy base that is literally 5 minutes from our door.
Okay.
So we accept TRICARE, and we bill through community care if that's what the case is needed.
Okay. Now, what kind of barriers are you finding that women service members or women veterans are facing in accessing the resources they need?
In reality, I think and some people may disagree, but I think it's pretty much the same as the male veterans. Like
Okay.
sometimes it's childcare, sometimes it's finances to pay for an Uber, So
Mm, yeah.
transportation. Sometimes it can be like you're just too far from where I need to be. You're just too far from where I live. Like you're in Middletown, I live in Johnston. Okay, let me connect you with the Veteran Services Connected coordinator at an agency in Johnston. I can connect you with anybody, pretty much anybody around the state. So it's nice having the ability to do that. Um, and it's, childcare, and sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's not a physical or a visual barrier. Sometimes it's internal. Sometimes there are feelings of like guilt or shame, or like I don't need help because I'm just going to
Mm.
suck it up and get through my day. You know, so and when it comes to those types of military service members or veterans, it becomes a little more crucial to meet them where they're at, and have those discussions and build that rapport and eventually, hopefully, connect them to the services that they're looking for.
And you mentioned that you would actually go out and meet people where they're at, even under a bridge. How do people contact you or your team if they know that there's someone in need and they need your team to get out to them? How do they call you?
There's a couple different ways, truthfully. Like we've gotten referrals from John Q. Public. We've gotten phone calls from private citizens who've said, "Hey, there's a guy out here on wherever." We get referrals from fire departments, police departments, other organizations, but we also have our Rhode Island Outreach, which is our mobile unit.
Mhm.
There's typically they go out in teams of 2 or 3, and there's typically a behavioral clinician, a first responder like an EMT, and a peer, who will meet them where they're at, and they can call us either through 988, they can call us through our phone number, the 846-1213 number. We have emergency services that are on 24/7, 7 days a week.
Oh, okay.
If you call the 1213 number, you just push option 1, and that connects you directly with an emergency services clinician. If they're military or veteran, then typically I will get an email. If we get a walk-in, they'll come and find me and say, "Hey, I got this military person downstairs." So we get referrals from pretty much any way, whether it's phone, verbal, over the phone, or through email, or, somebody just pulling me aside and say, "Hey, I have somebody you need to talk to." We spend a lot of
Okay,
time.
guilty of that one. I can
Like,
attest that's true. I have done that to you, Erica.
That is true. So we spend a lot of time at the community centers, like for the community meal sites, the MLK Center downtown Newport, the local churches that run community meals for dinner, throughout the week. So we do spend a lot of time actually on the street, like connecting with them.
That's awesome. So folks can either go to the newportmentalhealth.org website. They
Correct.
can call the 401-846-1213. Can they call you directly?
They can. I actually do have a direct line for texting. The direct line for texting is
Maybe we want to hold that and share that. Wait, maybe we want to hold and share that separately so that we don't incite scammers to tell you owe a toll or something crazy.
Sure,
So
I can do that.
I have your office as 401-846-1213 extension 1254. Is that the right one?
It is. The extension
Awesome.
1254 is my number.
Awesome, because we know those scam artists watch us too.
They
I almost kind of feel important that
do.
the scammers watch me. And Erica,
So I
mental
am
health.
actually I can actually share that information with you offline.
Perfect, because
The
then I
text
can
number.
share it with real people and we don't have any
Yes.
bots blowing up your phone for you. So,
Yes.
Newport Mental Health, with all the amazing stuff that you guys are doing, are people able to go on your website and donate or learn about volunteer opportunities to support this
Yes.
work?
Yes, absolutely. Most of a lot of like our outreach work is, and a lot of the work that we do here is pretty much funded by a lot of donations. We are a nonprofit, so it's, you know, everything we do is funded by donations.
Awesome.
So
I get it. Erica, I am so glad that you had the opportunity to take some time and join us today and kick off our fifth Calling All Women Warriors. Thank you.
thank you. Just one more quick thing. We do have our next Veterans Coffee Social here in Newport at the Edward King House on March 26th. It runs from 5 to 7. It is open to everyone, veterans and active duty military. Our featured speaker for March will be Carol Silva, who runs the therapeutic Igala program at Medicine Horse Farm in Tiverton.
Love it. Send me a flyer and I'll share it out there.
I will do. Thank
All
you so
right.
much, Deb. It was great to see you.
Great to see you too, Erica. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
my next guest is someone that I met several years ago, and we've recently reconnected because, COVID interrupted everything. So, our next guest is Navy veteran and master grief coach and author, Susan Latai. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Certainly. This is great.
So, I was so happy to reconnect with you. Like, COVID disrupted so many things.
Yes, it did.
And I don't think that I knew that you were a master grief coach. I really hadn't heard of that title before. Can you share a little bit about your journey and what led you to become a master grief coach?
Yes, certainly. As you know, I was doing event production prior to COVID, and when COVID hit, it was time to really stop looking for something else and find something that was really meaningful and repurposing my life after my son passed in 2017. In that, I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something to give back to the community. I wanted to do something to, honor him and help others at the same time. I've always been somebody who, takes my own experience and helps other people. So in 2021, I said, okay, it's time. I'm ready to at least put it out there. Am I really ready? Probably not, but let's do it anyway. Like, now, there's no more waiting. And I took the certification and I started, put my shingle out there.
So, as a master grief coach, what do you do and how is it different or similar to traditional therapy or counseling?
In some ways, it's definitely similar to your typical, talk therapy out there. There's plenty of different therapies that can help someone go through grief or anything else that they're dealing with. My take on a coach is somebody, one, who doesn't take insurance. We therapists do, and we're also not a licensed profession.
Okay.
We're a certification.
Okay.
In most cases. And then I do it definitely different than anybody else does. I think that's the beauty of being a coach, is that you can take it and mold it into what you really want to do with it. And in my cases, I really went down the path of using writing as a modality to help people heal.
So I want to come back around to that, but I think when we think about grief, I think we think of it as something that happens after a loss, in particular, say, the passing of someone that we love. But it feels like to me, and I am not an expert, it feels like that there's also grief when life has taken an unexpected turn, whether that is
Mhm.
a catastrophic medical diagnosis, an accident, a completely unexpected, unprepared for career change. The grief comes in a lot of different ways. But in your role, how do you define grief?
I define grief as any loss that was unexpected.
Okay.
And it really, you hit on pretty much all of the different kinds of grief that we go through in our lifetime. You know, it is a form of grief, but we seldom use the word grief associated with it. A lot of times we don't even really recognize that there's a process to go through to heal that, despite what it is, whether it's a job or we just kind of go through the motion, go, yeah, 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 and you kind of stuff it down and don't talk about it. Or you talk about it a little bit at first and then you just move on. But it's still lingering there because you never actually took the time to go, oh, how do I feel about this? And because the only way to get to the other side is through it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, you
And
have to feel it to heal it, as I've heard
Oh, I
somebody
like
say
that. I've never
before.
heard that
I
one.
forgot where I heard that, but I heard it somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think sometimes when people don't want to process,
Yeah,
that's when we maybe see some of the substance use disorders, some of the other
absolutely.
issues that, Erica was talking about, where,
Mhm.
being someone who serves in the military or as a veteran, there's a chance that you have experienced events that may cause grief, whether it is
Yeah.
something as serious as losing friends and,
Mhm.
and comrades, or
Absolutely.
injuries of war, or even not being able for whatever reason to move forward in your career,
Right.
or coming home and not finding that you had the same camaraderie as when you were in.
Yeah. I
So
think the biggest thing there is for people coming back after they've served, and depending on where they served and how long they've served, it's coming back going, okay, who am I now? And how do I fit into this civilian world? That is really, really difficult to process sometimes and to figure out.
So, what are some of the, say, most effective ways for coping with grief? We know it's not alcohol. We know it's not drugs. Those are not effective.
Numbing does not really work. I can vouch for that. I've been there. One of the most effective ways that I have found is writing, and that's why I use it. It's just so cathartic and healing, however you do it, whether that's journaling, whether that's writing your story out, however you want to do it. It's just a way for us to purge whatever's going inside our mind or in our hearts, because our minds and our hearts are not always incongruent. Your mind might know one thing, like if, let's say somebody was sick and they passed. Oh, we know they're no longer suffering. I'm happy about that in a sense. But then the heart's going, yes, but I miss this person so much being physical here. I miss that about them. So it's a lot of times it can be a struggle between head and heart.
Yeah.
And getting those details and those emotions and those thoughts out on paper so you can really process it. And it's a healing journey. It's not a destination. We talk about life as being a journey. Don't just look forward to that end goal, but enjoy the journey, or know that this is a journey. I can't imagine my grief process will ever be over. Like, I'm going to come to a point where, no, I don't miss him anymore. I'm not going to be grieving. It's something that we learn to live with.
Yep.
And it changes over the course of time, the more you process and everything else.
And And for those folks who are friends of someone who is grieving or a community member, what advice can you give for those around people?
Be there for support. Do you want to talk? And just listen. Listen. Do not attempt to fix them because they are not broken. Just listen. Be there for them. Check in with them just to see how they're doing. You know, get them out of the house if you can. Get them to, you know, communicate. Get them back in the community when they're ready, because in the right community can be extremely healing as well. I think that's one of the things we really lack is community.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And being in service, you know, being a veteran, you miss the community that you had when you were active duty, because it was like being in school, like being in college or being a child. It's like you were around the same people all the time.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to form friendships that last a lifetime.
Yeah, I can understand that. And then you return home
And
and things change.
none of my friends understand me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things you do around that creation of community and camaraderie, you have a program, and your program has developed some really cool books. Can you share about that?
Yeah, so it's a healing arts program, and it gives the community the opportunity to share their stories, whether that's about themselves and whatever they've been through, or whether it's about a loss of a loved one and their grief, however grief is entwined in it. And we do it in community. You know, we meet, we support, we have accountability partners. There's so much that goes into it that is there to support the person in completing their chapter, because then that chapter goes into a book.
An actual
physical published book on Amazon. And I've had the amazing opportunity to work with the Gloria Gemma Foundation and the Maddie Potts Foundation. I'm working with the Wish Come True, and hoping to be working with Data Dream Ranch in the near future too. So because
awesome.
Yeah, so it's just these projects are so special. They touch my heart in a way that nothing else does, just because of the closeness. Like these, I feel like each book is a little family, and I'm like Mama Bear at the head. So I hold the container for all of them as they're going through the process.
You hold that sacred space for people. Yeah. So if people want to reach out to you and learn more about what it is you do, what is the best way for them to do that?
Either you can go to my website, you can contact me through there. Of course, you can always call or text me, or you can email me. Any of them. I know we all have preferred methods of communication. So whatever works best. I look at them all.
Awesome. And your website is shiningalightonGrief.com.
Correct.
And your phone is the 401-919-4944, or Susan at SusanLatai.com, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
Any of those folks will be able to reach out and learn more about any of your upcoming programs.
Okay.
Oh, Susan, I'm so glad that you came on today, because I think this is one of those topics that too often we shy away from, because it's not always comfortable to be in that space, and it's not necessarily healthy in those ways to shy away.
Yes, agreed. That's why my company is called Shining a Light on Grief, because I want to bring that taboo subject out of the darkness into the light.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Yes.
Great.
Well, everybody, my next guest was scheduled to be Annie Murphy, and at the last minute, she was not feeling well, so she will not be joining us. But for those of you who know me, my background is in gerontology and all things aging, so I thought I would take a few minutes and just share some information that Annie would have shared if she had been able to be here. Now, we know a lot of times the role of caregiver is something that falls to the females in the family. Not always, I recognize that. But a lot of times it is the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, the in-law that are the ones who are caring for the loved ones with dementia. And that can be a lot. And it's really important that as a caregiver, that we take care of ourselves. Now, Annie is with the Alzheimer's Association of Rhode Island. They are having a big conference coming up. I believe registration for that conference started yesterday. Their Advocacy Day at the State House is on the 20th. So note that it's for the Alzheimer's Association, and sometimes you will see it as Alzheimer's and other related dementias. So I wanted to take a quick minute to say, when we talk about dementia, dementia is a symptom of a cognitive illness. Something's going on in your brain. Now, dementia is when you're forgetting things, but it's a symptom, not a diagnosis. So if you think of it like, I have a runny nose, that is the symptom. You don't know, is it a cold? Is it allergies because the seasons are changing? Is it COVID? All you know is you have a runny nose. Dementia is like that too. There are many reasons that someone may have a cognitive impairment that shows symptoms of dementia. It can be Alzheimer's. That's the most frequent diagnosis, is Alzheimer's disease causing dementia. But there are others. Some are, say, vascular dementia, which can be related to our health and lifestyle and how that impacts our heart and our brain. And those things are controllable. And if you reach out to the Alzheimer's Association of Rhode Island, Annie would be more than happy to share a ton of information on ways that you can work to prevent dementia, certain types of dementia more specifically. The other part, when you are a caregiver, you want to take care of yourself, because if you don't put the oxygen mask on yourself first, you can't take care of anybody else. And that's something to always be mindful of. Now, the Alzheimer's Association does have a wide variety of caregiver support groups, virtual, in person, all around the state. If you have a loved one that maybe has a different kind of dementia and not Alzheimer's, the Lewy Body Dementia Association has caregiver support groups around the state. It is important that as a caregiver, you get the support that you need. There is a brand new program that is rolling out at the Providence VA Medical Center. I have to double check and I'll post it in the comments later today. It's possibly next week, where veterans who are caregivers can now receive support at the Providence VA Medical Center. And I know you're saying, but wait, Deb, the Providence VA Caregiver Support Program has been around forever. 100% true. And usually that caregiver support program has been focused on the caregivers who are caring for veterans. That program previously was not structured in such a way as to support veterans who were caregivers for civilian family members. And coming up in the next week or two, and I'll drop it in the message, that is changing. And you can reach out to their team. They're going to have regular coffee hours for veterans who are caregivers so that you can get the support that you need. So a lot of really great activity is taking place. A lot of great resources are available. And if you can, register and come to the 14th annual Caregiver Journey and Research Conference on April 17th. There really is nothing like it. Not only do they have amazing speakers throughout the day and breakout sessions, they also have, I want to say, roughly 60 different resource providers that you can meet with. So if you're not sure what might work better, you have an entire buffet available at this event. Best part, or at least besides the information, it's free. So check out the Alzheimer's Association of Rhode Island, register for their conference, because it's a great way to get the information to support you as a caregiver or to support individuals who are experiencing their own journey of Alzheimer's or dementia. So glad Annie was able to share information ahead of time, and we wish her well. So my next guest is Sage Maker of the Veterans Benefits Administration down in Providence at the regional office. Welcome, Sage.
Hi, Deb. How's it going?
Awesome, Sage. So I understand you have a PowerPoint.
I do.
I'm going to let you just take it away, and I'm going to drop off screen, but I'll be here. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. I'm not sure what's going on with my background right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, we're just going to roll with it.
That's it.
Okay, so first, I just want to thank you so much for having us and allowing us to be a part of this virtual resource fair for veterans. It's great hearing from all these wonderful organizations. Also, Deb, I just want to thank you for putting this event together and for everything that you do in the community. For our veterans, you're really a force to be reckoned with. So for those of you that don't know me, like Deb mentioned, my name is Sage Maker. I work for the Providence VA Regional Benefits Office, and I'm actually co-presenting here today with Tracy Quinton, who also works at the Providence VA Regional Office. She's an MA for the director's staff. We are both veterans. I am an Air Force veteran, and she is an Army veteran. Anybody want to say hello, Tracy? So we just wanted to go over some of the benefits at the VA, specific for women, and kind of show you some of the resources and services that are available for you all, so you guys can maximize your benefits. So next slide, please. So maximizing your benefits. So women are the fastest growing group of veterans, and the VA is adopting its programs to meet the evolving needs of this growing demographic, ensuring that women veterans receive the support they deserve. The VA offers comprehensive benefits and services tailored to women veterans. These services are specifically designed to address the unique health, social, and economic challenges faced by women veterans. This presentation, we're going to cover things like healthcare, disability compensation, education, employment, housing, and other vital resources. It's really just to kind of be a broad overview of some of the services that you might be entitled to. And by utilizing these resources, we're hoping that women veterans can take full advantage of the support available to them, ensuring that they lead successful and fulfilling lives both during and after service. Next slide, please. Okay, so VA health, perfect. So VA healthcare for women veterans. So today the VA is really focused on unique healthcare needs for women veterans, right? We recognize that our healthcare needs differ from our male counterparts, and we want to highlight some of the critical services provided by the VA to support the overall well-being, from reproductive health to mental health care. So for reproductive health services, this is really a broad spectrum of services available. So including things like gynecological exams, family planning. We offer prenatal and postnatal care. There's also access to fertility services and support for women veterans that are experiencing infertility. We also address things like menopause. There's hormone replacement therapy available and other age-related reproductive concerns. Under preventative care, we offer things like regular screenings for mammograms, cervical cancer screenings, and bone density testing. We also focus on maintaining those long-term healthy goals that we all have, and we offer things like education, nutrition, and lifestyle support. Under mental health support that we offer, the VA really specializes in mental health care to address challenges such as PTSD, depression, anxiety, and trauma, recognizing that women veterans overall have a higher percentage of mental health issues versus their male counterparts. We offer support groups, peer counseling that's tailored to specific women veterans. So we really encourage you guys to connect with VA through the health clinic. We also do a lot of outreach events and outreach programmings. The VA has increased its efforts to improve access to care, including telehealth and community-based services. There's also at the hospital a woman veteran coordinator named Joanne Barrett, who is just phenomenal. So she's at so many of these events, so you can really just connect with her and she can help guide you through some of this. But basically the VA has this comprehensive approach to healthcare for women veterans, right? To not only address just the physical health needs of us, but also really starting to emphasize the importance of mental health support, ensuring that women veterans receive the care they need to thrive. And just speaking as a female veteran, not to date myself, but I joined in 1997 and I retired in 2018. And I just during that time and then ongoing treatments, I've seen such a substantial improvement in really kind of tailoring the needs that women veterans have. So the VA is listening to the needs of women veterans. Next slide, please. So wanted to cover disability compensation and other supports that are available. So disability compensation, what that is, it basically provides financial support to veterans who are injured or become ill due to military service. And this benefit is designed to compensate for the impact their service-connected disabilities have on the veteran's ability to work and thrive in their daily lives. So veterans with physical or mental health conditions that are linked to their time in the military are eligible for disability compensation. And based on the severity of the disability, which is rated from 0 to 100, so basically the higher the rating, the greater the financial compensation. And conditions that are covered under that can really range. So it can be anything from a broken bone or PTSD. It could be a chronic disease like diabetes or conditions developed due to toxic exposures, things like Agent Orange. To apply for this, veterans have to file a claim with the VA. So you can do that online through va.gov. You could mail in your application, your claim. It's a 526EZ is the form. You could also work with a power of attorney or a veteran service officer to submit an application for this, or you could apply in person. And we are located at 380 Westminster Street in downtown Providence. There is parking lots all around. You do have to pay to park, unfortunately, but there is parking available. And we have this amazing public contact team that is available from 8:30 to 4 p.m. for veterans to come in and file a claim. And our public contact team is trained in addressing everything that veterans have concerns with regarding their claims. They're able to look up their files and really give them on-the-spot information and help. So MST. So what MST is military sexual trauma, and MST refers to experiences of sexual assault or harassment while serving in the military. This includes both women and men and can have long-term psychological, emotional, or physical effects. Veterans who experience MST may be eligible for VA compensation, even if the trauma occurred years years ago. So the VA provides specialized mental health services and counseling for MST survivors. And filing a claim, you don't have to have formal documentation of the incident, but veterans must show that the trauma occurred during service and impacts their health today. The VA also offers MST-related care and private support environments to ensure veterans feel safe and they have their privacy. There's also special monthly compensation, so that's called MSC. And MSC is just an additional compensation for veterans with severe disabilities or special needs that are not covered by the standard disability compensation rating. So veterans may be eligible for MSC if they have service-connected disabilities such as a loss of limb, blindness, or need of regular aid and attendance due to their disability. Yes. So MSC provides extra financial support, which can be critical for veterans needing specialized care and accommodations. Next slide, please. So education and career benefits, I can't stress this enough. These are incredible benefits that are offered to veterans, and I think a lot of people don't really know about them or take advantage of them. But the VA does provide educational career benefits to support veterans transitioning to civilian life. These benefits help with things like education, career development, financial assistance for training, or even employment opportunities. So the GI Bill, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, that provides financial support for veterans pursuing higher education, technical training, or certifications. And there's two types of GI Bill. So you have the post 9/11 GI Bill, which covers tuition, housing, and supplies, including benefits for dependents. And then you have the Montgomery GI Bill, and that's for pre 9/11 veterans, which offers funding for education and training. You also have vocational rehabilitation and employment, or VRE. And VRE helps veterans that are service-connected with service-connected disabilities find meaningful employment and gain necessary skills. I actually worked in VRE for a year as a management analyst, and I was able to see just the counselors do really phenomenal work with the veterans on a daily basis. It's an incredible program. They provide career counseling, job training, job placement assistance, and disability accommodations. Just move down. So veteran employment services, these resources help veterans find civilian jobs and succeed in the workplace. Just some of the programs that you might already be familiar with is Vet Success on Campus, that supports veterans in school and their career paths. Our local Vet Success on Campus counselor is Michaela Black. I don't know, she has this name that a lot of people have heard of, so you might have heard of her. She does phenomenal work with veterans. We also offer VA employment workshops, which focus on jobs, search skills, and interview preparation. So we really we encourage you all to take advantage of these benefits to enhance your skills in your career. These are things that are available to you. If you just reach out to the VA, they can point you in the right directions of what you might be eligible for. So I'm going to now pass this over to my coworker, Tracy Quinton, for the additional slides. Thank you, guys.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As Sage said, I am Tracy Quinton. I am an Army combat veteran. Again, dating myself like Sage, I joined in 1996. So I'm just going to go over some stuff. Some of it will be a little bit of overlap of what Sage already went over. So if there's anything repetitive, I apologize. But again, it's always nice to hear something twice so that you don't forget. So the slide here, the next slide, please, is about housing and financial assistance. So those things include things like VA home loans, housing grants, and emergency financial assistance. We understand that the economy right now is very difficult for a lot of people with the rising cost of everything. So that can also include things like temporary housing, vouchers through the Housing and Urban Development, HUD, as most people know it by. There's homelessness and prevention support. But also, if you're looking to purchase a home, There's 0% down, which is a huge benefit. There's also more competitive rates than sometimes that banks will offer you than lower conventional loans. And more importantly, too, there's no PMI. So if you're not putting that deposit down, you don't also have to pay that private mortgage insurance. That becomes like a second mortgage. So that is what I have for that slide. If you can go to the next one. So support for women veterans, again, trying to be more veteran centric in the work that we do, and support services for veterans families, SSVF, helps to provide housing stability services, including rent and sometimes utility assistance. And another huge one is childcare assistance. This is limited, but certainly ask about it. Many VAMCs, the medical centers, will offer this support so that you can attend your medical appointments and counseling services, which can be really helpful. And like Sage had talked about veteran readiness and employment services, if you're attending training or school classes, they can help include stipends that will help cover childcare during that time that you're in those classes. There are support groups and peer networks that are veteran focused, and there are many places that you can seek that out. Next slide, please. I think Sage had talked about the VA Form 526EZ about applying for compensation benefits. So all those things, those forms and ways to apply can be found at the va.gov. A lot of people might have heard about the e-benefits. They are phasing that out, but if you do find that and click on it, it will send you to the the va.gov site. And again, applying for benefits isn't just disability compensation. It's only one part of it. Those benefits include, healthcare benefits, education, housing, even a surviving spouse, cemetery benefits. And each business line has their own way to apply their own forms. And again, you can always call. There is a hotline. There's a number here too. And the regional office and the medical center all have people in those places that can help you assist with those forms. Next slide. Overcoming barriers. So of course, we know there's a lot of focus on the negativity of the VA and other government agencies of being a bureaucracy and kind of being hard to navigate around. So we want to just try to address some of those and help give you some reassurance. Some of those barriers can include mobility and physical limitations to be able to attend your appointments. A lot of people now, since COVID, now know about virtual options. That's how I attend a lot of my appointments. So which is really helpful because you don't have to travel to and from, which adds the amount of time you might need to take away from work or your family. And then additionally to that, there's travel reimbursements. So if you need to use Uber or Lyft or a taxi or public transportation, that there is a reimbursement option if you get those pre-approved for your appointments. We know that sometimes those compensation examinations that happen through contractors can be up to 3 hours. I think it's 3 hours away from your home of residence. So those options might be really helpful to people who don't have reliable transportation. Also, there's a lot of time restraints, right? We have to try to work within the VA's business hours of 8 to 4:30 or 8:30 to 5. But I will say that the VA is working harder and harder to offer late appointments, especially like when I'm in Massachusetts now, but when I was closer in Rhode Island, there was the vet center in Warwick, and they have later hours and they offer individual and marital counseling. So it's really important to know that sometimes a lot of these benefits can go beyond the veteran themselves. Again, Sage already mentioned Joanne Barrett, and I've actually used her years ago when I was going through maternity services, and they outsource a lot of that from the VA. So you're able to go to your own providers, which is really nice. Another barrier can be the application process, right? It can feel really burdensome. It feels like an arduous bureaucratic process. It can be very confusing. And we did want to remind you that you can receive help going into our public service office, public contact office, they do have individuals, like Sage said, that are ready and willing to help you go through all those forms. And also, there's free assistance through veteran service organizations. So things like VFW, American Legion, DAV, Disability American Veterans, all of those people are trained and should be able to help you with the process and try to demystify some of the stuff that you might be wondering about. We also believe that there's a lack of awareness sometimes of the benefits that you might have. So things like today and other events that that they have around are always beneficial to go to, because you can have that one-on-one conversation with these subject matter experts, attend these things so that you can kind of get that more personal approach to find out what you're eligible for. And sometimes there's technical barriers, right? A lot of stuff is, oh, we'll go on this website now and click on this and use this QR code. So we do, again, same process. This is especially, with aging veterans. We do want to welcome you to our benefits office on Westminster Street to see our public contact, and also veteran service organizations, right? They can help alleviate those accessibility issues as well. Next slide. And here's just some information that you can kind of copy or screenshot so that you have it for future reference. You served, I served, we served, and we deserve the benefits that we received. A lot of times there's a lot of stigma about receiving benefits, but please know that you've earned all those benefits. We encourage you to take advantage of all of them, and hopefully you can get answers to your questions and have these discussions with all of the phone numbers and email addresses and the people that we've given to you as resources. And I just wanted to thank you for all your time today, and hopefully you could find this information beneficial.
This is great. Thank you so much. There's so many different resources available through your office, and I know you guys are jamming. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So my next guest is Army Reservist Allison Rivera, the Brain Health Program Lead, U.S. Home Base, a Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital program. Welcome, Allison.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I didn't actually know this was the 5th annual, and I will definitely be in attendance next time that comes as well. It's an amazing resource just to have all these people together. And what's nice too is having that lead up from the VA. We love the VA, and like I personally use it. But I know that there are eligibilities, or like some service eras or some discharge statuses aren't eligible to receive those awesome services that they have just due to the volume that they are dealing with. And so something that is just a little different about Home Base is that we accept everybody. Dishonorable discharge, Vietnam, Native American cohorts, like we take all service eras, all discharge, all branches. And then in addition, the family members are also eligible to receive services with us. And the service member doesn't have to be the one initiating the service if they don't feel like they need it. So a family member could come in independently for their own, therapy, just because that they are a family member. Like they don't have to be in attendance with their partner who was or is in the military.
That is awesome. So can you just share with folks where is Home Base located for New England?
So for New England, we are actually in the same parking lot as the USS Constitution, which is
Boston.
fun. Yeah, it's still an active worship, and so they blast the cannon at 8 a.m. and sunset every day.
Good morning. Hi.
Yep. And so we are right in Charlestown, just kitty corner to TD Garden. I'm pointing as if you can see it, but it's right there. And we have a free parking lot. So for anyone that wants to come into any of our in-person services, it's free. And then we also offer a lot of telehealth. As previous folks have mentioned, it's just a better way for some people to access, whether they've got childcare issues or like financial issues, but maybe they don't have a car, things like that. You just never know. So for any Massachusetts resident, they have the option to do their clinical programming virtually. And then we also do have a lot of in-person services as well. Like we aren't considered an inpatient program, but we have an in-person 2-week intensive program where folks will stay at the hotel next door. They'll walk over in the morning, have various types of therapy throughout the day from like 7 a.m. until 5:30 or so p.m. It'll have individual, group activities, skills groups. It'll have a visit to the horse farm in the middle weekend, as well as a team building activity. And it's all about, we like to call it tools for your tool belt. So it's not necessarily a cure-all, but it's to let people know that they're not alone. Other people are here having had similar experiences or similar reactions to things outside of the military, like once they're out. As far as women veterans, we offer, should it be requested when they're screening, like all women cohorts, for example, like we have one now, and next group we have an all women's special operators cohort coming through for our 2-week program. And that's just for various reasons. Some people, they're just want other like-minded women. Some have had an MST background. Some just maybe they were coming out of an abusive relationship and they just want to be around supportive women, that kind of thing. Everyone has their own reason, and then they can like request that when they're coming to us for services. I'm also just realizing I didn't introduce myself at all at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Got ahead of myself.
Okay.
My name is Allison. I am one of the veteran outreach coordinators, recently transitioned to the brain health program lead. I am currently an Army reservist, and so I'm still serving. I've been in since 2012, 2 deployments. And what's nice, I know Erica actually mentioned it in her presentation as well, that something that's beneficial or different about home base is that the very first person that any veteran or service member or a family member is going to be in contact with is going to be another veteran. So our veteran outreach coordinator team are all veterans or service members. Every provider, IT tech, case manager, social worker, nurse, everybody in this building has gone through military culture training. And most of them have a military connection in their lives as well. And we have an entire family support team made up of either dual family or dual military families or military spouses or military parents, whose kids are away, and they have that sort of additional support aspect to give to people that come here. Yeah. And something else like that's just removes another barrier is that home base is free. Not a lot of people know.
We love free.
We love free. It's our favorite price, free 99. But so like we do charge insurance if people have it, but they're never going to see a copay. They're never going to see any kind of bill, and any insurance counts. And if they don't have insurance, we just cover the whole bill. So we raise a lot of our money through fundraising and donations. But also we have a huge amount of support from the Wounded Warrior Projects, Wounded Warrior Project and the Red Sox Foundation. And that's kind of how we got our start, is after we won the World Series in 2007. The Red Sox chairman, Tom Warner, went to Walter Reed to visit the veterans and service members who had been injured after service or during service, and they wanted to do something. And so they collectively paired up with Mass General Hospital to create home base.
Wow. And correct me if I'm wrong, home base is the one that allows veterans to actually go on the baseball field and run the bases, right?
Yes, it is. And so upcoming every summer we have, it's called the Run to Home Base. So it's a 5K, or there's an optional 9K as well. And they also do it. You can participate virtually should you choose. So anywhere around the world, you can fundraise for it and just participate. They have a whole day of like ceremony and testimonials from people who have come through the program, support from like legislature. The secretary was there last year, and it's a good day. It's a really good feeling. And then they also have an entire concourse dedicated to veteran service organizations. So folks other than Homebase are going to be there, whether it's a veteran owned business or a VSO local in the area that provides a service that they want people to know about. Like AM Vets has come out, Harvard Street Neighborhood Health Center has come out, 321 would love to come out. We've got so many people at Team Rubicon has been there. And it's just a lovely day. And then you run it, you have great fun, you finish, you cross Homebase, you get your photo taken, they post it. And then there's the game later that day.
I have always heard really wonderful feedback about that event. Now, Homebase, you're funded by the Red Sox Foundation. Go Red Sox Foundation. Do you also need sponsors, donors, volunteers? Like, if people want to support this amazing work that you're doing for free, how can they do that?
Absolutely. We are always looking for volunteers and also like fundraisers and donations and things like that. So right on our website, there's actually a couple things I can explain just from the website. So for the volunteer aspect, right? We have an entire page where you can submit your interest, and then you can specify like which area you would like to volunteer in, whether it's our cooking demo, it's clinical patient care, if it's like escorting someone to a room or helping staple stuff or put binders together, things like that are in the clinical setting. We've also got volunteers for Run to Homebase, volunteers for other outreach and adventure series and things like that. The more the better, in my opinion, especially Memorial Day.
Yes.
Yeah. And then donations as well. You can click, I think it says ways to give on our website. And then that would be where like corporations can donate, individuals can donate. You can specify the amount. You don't have to pick like a set, fixture. And yeah, like I said, because we operate as a free service for these folks, that's why we love it when people, generously give of themselves to help us provide that care for free.
Absolutely. And I can say on your website, you do have your impact report. So if people are wondering where does the money really go, it's available on your website. So folks who are donating have a clear understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You are doing such amazing and really fun stuff that I'm excited to have you on the show because I've always heard so much and I'm glad we were able to connect. It is awesome.
Oh, perfect. I know that the font is very small, so I will give like a little overview of just a couple of the things that are relevant to the folks throughout New England. We have, if anyone lives close enough or knows someone close enough and they're willing to drive in to come into our clinic, we have the Warrior Health and Fitness. It's again a free program. It's led by personal trainers. You'll get consults with nutritionists, free parking in our parking lot. All you have to do is register online. And then our adventure series are throughout New England. And those are just really fun, free, family-friendly events. You just sign up online for the ones that you want to attend or, sign up for the newsletter. Like I know we've got glass blowing upcoming. We've done hiking, skiing, the Boston Symphony Christmas program. We've done that. Apple picking in the fall. We do a lot of different things and we just try to spread them out so that we can both get the word out and then also get military and military connected individuals together in a non-clinical setting so that they can just sort of have that, peer support and know that there are other families out there like them.
Absolutely. Having that individual connection makes it so much easier to reach out when somebody needs help. So that's awesome. I am so glad you joined us today, Allison. It is truly amazing work that the Red Sox Foundation and Mass General Hospital are doing with home base. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for putting this on.
This is awesome. So my next guest is my friend Marie Valentin from the Senior Corporate Partnership Manager for Homes for Our Troops. And we have a little video that explains some of what Homes for Our Troops does.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Welcome, Marie Valentin.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us on here, Deb. We really appreciate it.
I loved that video. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was really fun this year to do that one because Rebecca Mann is in Massachusetts. She's one of our few Massachusetts-based veterans. Because really, as the video says, our mission is to we build nationwide. So we will build the home for these severely injured veterans anywhere in the U.S. they want to live.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thanks. So yeah, so we're based in Taunton, but we build anywhere.
So who is eligible to have these? Like, what is the process that somebody needs to go through? Because seeing that video, I saw home modifications that I don't see ordinarily. And so what does someone have to do to have a home done?
Yep. So they have to be severely injured post 9/11, meaning they were injured after 9/11 in Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever they served. And to qualify for Homes for Our Troops, they just have to be eligible for the SAH grant, or the Specially Adapted Home Grant, which is awarded through the VA. So once that's like that very first part of it, and then they can apply for our program. We never say no, but we want to make sure that the veteran and his or her family is set up for success to be a homeowner. Because while these homes are mortgage free, you are the homeowner at the end of the day.
Okay, so you still have to handle like I don't know, if your plumbing has a leak or a tree falls on the roof kind of thing. It's still on you as the homeowner.
Right. And so because of that, we offer free financial services to make sure you are set up to be successful in that home. And one of the fun things that we offer is that person stays with them throughout their, getting the home, and 3 years after getting the home.
Oh, wow.
To make sure that they are really set up to, as we say, rebuild their lives. They gave so much to us going and serving our country. So while we build them a mortgage-free home, that's amazing. We want to make sure that they get that home and then live their lives with no barriers.
That I love that. So where do they start? Like, how do they approach you? What does the application process look like? What's the turnaround time on this?
So we have an intake team. We say we're small but mighty. So our intake department is 2 lovely ladies who will take a look at the application, and they will reach out for any additional resources that they need or information they need from the applicant. From there, you go through that application process, and the final step is coming to my favorite part of the job, which is our Veterans Conference in Foxborough. So we invite 8 or 9 veterans to come in with their spouse, caregiver, mom, friend, whomever, and they get to meet us in person, and we make sure we're a good fit for them.
I love it. So it's
It's-
not like some, I don't know, an office someplace making a decision. It's like real people face to face.
Yes. So once they, we say, welcome to the family, we're going to build you a home. It depends on the veteran and how, like some veterans, like, hey, we just want to live in this big area. Some want to have like a very tiny dot on the map they want to live. So it just, takes us time to find land. But once we get the land and we hire a local general contractor to build the home.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's about 7-8 months until they're in the home. So I think overall, our timeline is about 18 to 24 months.
So you handle the whole shebang of getting the land, getting the house, all of that.
Yes. Yep. So we have an internal land team that their only focus is to find that land, make sure it's engineered, do all the engineering plans, because obviously, so we build our house, it's a slab, so there's no basements, there's no stairs in the home at all. And so we have to make sure that the plot of land is relatively flat. We have an in-house realtor who does all the transactions. We have an internal construction team that covers different areas of the country. And then you have us in development who raise all the money to do this.
That's amazing. So when you identify the veterans, how many homes in a year are you able to provide? Is it just one, or how does that work?
So we are fortunate enough. We just celebrated our 21st anniversary. We have built just over 400 homes.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and we built about 20 to 25 homes a year.
Wow. So as you're meeting these veterans and seeing them through the journey of not having housing that works to meet their needs and foster independence, I watched that video and saw the woman say, I can host Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart swelled. How do you hand over the keys and not just be crying your eyes out with joy? Like, that's amazing.
It is. And I've been fortunate to be here for 5 years so far. And I don't think I've made it through a single key ceremony yet with not at least getting teary-eyed.
Yeah.
At it. And one of my other favorite parts is that, we're all paired with a veteran and their family to go through the process with them. And then we get to go attend their key ceremony. And it's such a special day to see this family walk in or roll in to their new home and just be ecstatic about being able to be anywhere in that home.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That, like, to be able to have that independence back after having an event that has altered your life so significantly.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So, Marie, for people who want to reach out to inquire about applying or learn more about the program, where should they do that?
So they can go right on our website. There's a button there to apply. There's also, if you want to, you can go to my email that's scrolling. I'm more than happy to put people in the right direction. But yeah, our website's a great wealth of resources for that stuff.
And that's the HFOTUSA.org.
Yes.
And it's mvalentim at HFOTUSA.org.
Correct.
And if they wanted to call, is the proper number the 508-967-9055?
Yep, that's our number.
That is awesome. And then with everything that you guys are doing, that is absolutely amazing, and bring a box of tissues kind of efforts. Do you need volunteers? Do you need donors? Do you have fundraisers coming up that people can support your work?
So we do. So again, on our website, we'll have a calendar of events. One of the ones that the only event that HFET actually puts on ourselves is a golf tournament that's coming up in August. So again, if anyone's out there is interested in being a sponsor for that golf tournament, you can reach out to me. I have the packets available. We also are just about to buy a land for another Massachusetts veteran. So keep an eye out for those, because for every build, we have 3 events. We have the community kickoff, which is a modified groundbreaking. Yep. So it's where we introduce the community to the veteran, his or her family moving in. because we really want that community to embrace the veteran and their family. And then we have a volunteer day, which is our modified, it's a landscape day. So come out, lay sod, mulch, plant some trees, plant some flowers, make it look pretty. And then we have that key ceremony, which is that, ribbon cutting, here are your keys to your new home.
I love it. I love it. This is so amazing, the work that you're doing. Thank you. I really appreciate, with everything you have to get done with a small team, I am grateful that you were able to come on today and share the amazing work that you guys are doing. This is so powerful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So my next guest is U.S. Air Force veteran Mel Bloom with the 350 Girls. Welcome, Mel.
Thanks for having me today.
How are you?
Good. I'm glad to be here, and I'm really excited to hear about some of the other programs that have been going on. It's been an amazing morning so far.
Yeah, I'm glad that you've been able to join us. So I think one of the leading questions is, what is 350 Girl?
This is actually probably the most important question we get, and we're getting that question a lot lately, where, you've seen us pop up at resource events all over New England, and everyone's like, well, how are you a veteran resource? And as has been proven in the last few weeks, history is a resource. And what we do is, our mission is to make that history accessible and visible to women and to the public. And actually, I think I have a slide. You'll have to forgive me. This is my first time letting someone else run the slide. So next slide, please. There we go. So this 350 Girls came about because when I was in basic training, a lot of these history topics that are so important to understanding women's service just were not being covered. And I had no idea about the women who had paved the way for me as a veteran. So if I can go to my next slide, please. Kind of brings me to this question, how is history and education a resource? And in the last couple of weeks, where we've seen that things are changing in how this history is presented and perceived, it's really important that our group can come in and provide access to that history. Because you can see here, women have served in the American military since the beginning. I mean, most people know Deborah Sampson. I think a lot less people know there was actually women who served as employees of the Army, not necessarily Army members, but employees as sutlers, nurses, laundry. So women's military history goes all the way back, and it's important that there's a record and accessibility to that history. Next slide, please. And I saw one of your questions that you had asked us about is, how is history a resource, and how is there a challenge, and how is there a barrier to history? And I'm not going to get political, but I am going to point out that in recent weeks, we've seen a lot of removal of women's history. And, you think about like the 6888 movie that just came out in December, everyone's been trying to research the WAC and trying to Google and be like, hey, I want to know more about these women. And that information is no longer easily accessible. It's already not in museums unless you go to like the Women's Museum at Fort Gregg Adams. But what we do, and what we've been doing even more so in the last few weeks, is trying to maintain this history and trying to maintain like databases and visibility. But women do have kind of a unique challenge, especially lately, in that you just can't exactly Google search, the Women's Army Corps, the 6888. You'll get some things, but a lot of things have since been removed. And that includes events. A lot of events that we normally attend were canceled, or we've been told we can no longer do, or there's no longer funding for. Next slide, please. So I've said visibility, I've said accessibility, and the way we do this is we have a couple of different things that we do. We've been really focusing on accessibility in the last month or so, because with web pages coming down and all these conversations that are happening around, women's history, it's been important for us to make sure that people are still having access. But our normal lineup of programming, we go to resource fairs like this one. We do a lot of living history. We have a pop-up museum that we bring. We do presentations and lectures. And I want to bring this picture because when we talk about like visibility, this was at an event we did last summer. As you can see, I'm the only woman in the color guard there, but it was so important to have that representation because women were there. And they're maybe not necessarily in an all men's color guard, but they were part of wartime service. Next slide. And I apologize. I'm going to go through these just kind of quickly to give an idea of some of the different ways that we do visibility and accessibility. This was the Air Force Ball at Hanscom last year. We were invited to set up and talk to the next generation of the Air Force, which was my branch, about the kind of history that I never heard. And a lot of people were coming through and going, I never heard of this. This wasn't in training. So that was a big piece of visibility, is making women's history and women's time in the military visible to the next generation. Next slide, please. Another thing we did last year, we worked with a 100-year-old women's Marine from World War II. She was not in the Women's Memorial, and we met her through an event and coordinated with the Women's Memorial to get her registered, but she also got the Living Legend status for being a World War II veteran. And I got to meet her and talk to her and learn about her history, and now that history is preserved for future generations. Next slide, please. A couple of shots of our travel exhibit. If you've seen us at an event, you've probably seen this. We have an original, a growing collection of women's uniforms. And for me personally, it's the best feeling when someone comes up and goes, that's my uniform, or that's my branch, or hey, I didn't know that. So these are some of the things that we do. We'll go to like conferences, schools. We're going to be at the New England Air Museum this weekend with aviation uniforms. So we bring this anywhere we have an opportunity to. Next slide, please. Now, accessibility, that has been our biggest challenge recently, making sure that we are, there's platforms and opportunities for us to share this history. And that's been we've had to get very creative recently, but we're really excited that we're going to be working with the Service Women's Action Network this month. We're doing a joint social media campaign to share women's history. And we're also launching a bi-monthly or twice a month with GI Jive Radio to focus on women's World War II stories. And I actually just confirmed this morning, we are going to be setting up at the Massachusetts State House next week for Women's History Month and bringing our travel exhibit. So making that history easy for people to find who may not otherwise have the option to find it. Next slide, please. And this has been, I think, the biggest change for us in the last couple months is that we have now started hosting our own events, which has become quite critical due to some of the changes. So we hosted and coordinated the 688 screening across Massachusetts. It was an incredible opportunity to work with the executive office, the VA, and we had an incredible time, but we were making these a lot of people were complaining, hey, we don't have Netflix, or I don't want to pay for Netflix, or how do I access this movie? And we were able to host across 6 locations in Massachusetts and brought that film to almost 100 people. And that was in a blizzard. So if the weather had been good, I like to think we would have had an even bigger turnout. But we were able to make this movie accessible to people who may not have had a chance to see it. Next slide, please. And then this is our tangible product. If you're on our website, we've been tracking women's history across Massachusetts and New England. Whenever we do an event, this year our theme is She Served Here. And this is just something because people think that history happened in Normandy. So when talking about visibility and accessibility, most people don't realize there's over 10 locations across New England where women served. So, well, it may not be the first thing you think of when you think of World War II. There were women stationed and working and training around here. So bringing that visibility close to home as well. And this is on our website, so you can find something in your community that ties into this history. Next slide, please. So I said we're starting to host more events, and I think this might, Deb, I'm more than happy to chat with you about some of these things, but we're starting to host more events. And this has probably been like the biggest and scariest part of what we're doing because this is new for us, but we're really excited. We're hosting a symposium in Northampton. I mentioned our She Served Here map. We found out a few years ago that women had actually trained at Smith College and Mount Holyoke College, and we are actually hosting our first symposium. We have an incredible lineup of speakers coming. We've got authors, we've got a couple of great historians, we've got a curator, we've got a makeup historian who's going to talk about like lipstick in World War II, which is, we're really excited to be hosting and nervous, but excited. So this is our biggest project for the year, and I'm happy to take any questions about it. We're posting more about it on our social media. Next slide, please. So yeah, Deb, I'm happy to make this one more of a conversation so I don't sound just like a Like I'm just.
No problem. I hear you.
I hate the fundraising part of it. This is like my least favorite part. I know we've talked about it, but.
So in order to host an event, you need sponsors, you need donors, and the fact that women have served and that information is not readily available, it's important that sponsors and donors support your work. So
we do a lot of events for free. So anything. So, and that's the thing is that we want to make this in order to keep it accessible, you know, we need to be able to take it to small organizations, smaller communities. And that's where we depend on donations and sponsorship. Our symposium, we're definitely still looking for some sponsors to help us.
And for your symposium, is it something that is crossing a mealtime? Say, do you need a lunchtime sponsor or a coffee break sponsor? Is there someone who could sponsor the social media aspect of it? What kinds of things could people do to help support the work that you're doing and support raising the visibility of the fact that she served too?
Well, we're definitely, you know, we've got someone who, for example, is sponsoring like one of our speakers. So we have a list of our speakers on our website, and we've actually had someone reach out and say, hey, can we provide support for this speaker? Because it aligns with what their company wants to, you know, support. So we actually have that sponsorship coming through. And we are.
Who's that sponsor?
It's an engineering company out of Boston.
Okay.
Their name, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it yet.
I understand how that is sometimes.
So I think I need to wait to make like a formal announcement, but we just got that information today because as you've probably seen, like a lot of women in transport, women in engineering, they're not able to, you know, organize anymore. So with World War II, having talks about women who served in STEM, you know, the first women navigators, the first women to work on aircraft and code breakers. So having a STEM sponsor for that lecture is something we're really excited about to support programming and tie it back into women veterans who served in jobs that were not considered ladylike at the time.
I love the idea that there are jobs that are not ladylike, and there were some badass women out there doing them. I love that. I love that. Sorry about the language, folks.
I keep in mind on lockdown, and the veteran in me slips in sometimes, and it's like, you think I was in the Navy with my language sometimes.
Mel, the work you're doing at your 6888 talkback, where you actually had the family members of the 6888 service members, truly just mind-boggling stunning. It was awesome. You know, I've seen your organization grow through the years, and it is even more important today, I think, than when we first met, that you keep going strong, and I'm looking forward to your symposium.
Tickets are now open if anyone's interested. We're doing a women's promotion month. So 10% off. It's on our website. I think they've added a QR code, but we're looking forward to, and like you said, now more than ever, it's so important to have these spaces to talk about history. So
absolutely.
Had the opportunity to come out today and talk about it.
Yes. And we will put a link there in the chat. So thank you for joining us today. This has been awesome.
Thank you very much. I'm sure history is not everyone's favorite topic. So it's always like, here I am.
If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel. So my next guest, this is a sensitive topic, but it is one that we simply cannot ignore. Welcome, Kimberly Ferranti of the Providence VA Medical Center Suicide Prevention Office. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Deb. How about yourself?
Very good. Very good. So please, can you share with folks what it is that you do at the Providence VA Medical Center?
Sure, but first I just want to thank you again for raising the awareness and amplifying the voices of our women veterans. Also, I'm just so grateful to be part of such a distinguished panel of guests here today. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. My name is Kim Ferranti. I'm a clinical social worker and I work for the VA Providence Healthcare System. So it was nice to see our benefits counterparts on this call, as well as some other friends. And basically what we do is we have a whole health approach to our services here. So we provide inpatient and outpatient care to the veterans in the state of Rhode Island, as well as parts of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And my role as the Community Engagement and Partnership Coordinator, I work alongside our clinical suicide prevention team to educate and raise awareness on veteran suicide prevention.
And so if a veteran is in crisis, where should they call?
So for those of you who aren't familiar with our general number 988, that number has been deployed now for the last couple of years. That is replacing the traditional 1-800 number. So thankfully they made it a little bit easier for those individuals who are in crisis. But with veterans, we actually have an added feature. So if it's 988 press 1, you actually get sent to a dedicated veterans crisis hotline. And what that individual will do is they will assess the situation. If you need acute first responder intervention, they will send those personnel to your home. But if you just need someone to talk to, someone to chat with, they will do that and they will help you work through whatever you're doing. And then if warranted, at the Providence VA, a live individual will actually call that veteran back by the next business day. And again, sort of work through or tease out if there's any additional needs or services that we need to do. I also want to point out that for those individuals who are calling on behalf of someone else, that is okay to do as well. We have a partnership with the Rhode Island Sheriff's Department, and I just had an amazing story that I wanted to share. A sheriff who wasn't a veteran was calling on behalf of a veteran sheriff. And he was so impressed because the Veterans Crisis Hotline representative actually was asking about him, about asking how he was doing. So I just wanted to share that because it's an amazing resource. So thank you.
You know, it's one of those things that we may see someone is struggling. And even as I say that, somebody may be struggling and have the perfect facade, because we never really know what's going through somebody else's mind and how close they may be to not being here tomorrow. When you call 988, is a family member or a friend, can they help you find the resources for the person you care about that you think might be considering suicide?
Absolutely. So again, those individuals are trained professionals. There's also the 988 call center, which is run by BH Link. So if a family member just wants to call on behalf of just getting resources for themselves too, they can call 988. But if they do press that 1, like I said, there is a veteran dedicated agent on the other line who will help them navigate the resources that they need, and then we'll refer them to the local VA. So whether you're calling in Texas or Montana or Rhode Island, those individuals will have the resources in place to refer that individual to them.
That's really important too, that, you know, it could be literally anywhere in the country. You know, we have a lot of folks that we're friends with on social media that may not be in our close proximity. So getting them the help that they need where they are, that's amazing. Now, we were at a conference together where you shared some information, some data in relation to our women veterans and their risk of suicide. Are you able to share that here?
Well, what I can say is that, again, one suicide is too many. Okay.
Absolutely. 100% full stop. Yes.
It's a very complex issue. And so the most current data that we have, thankfully, which is an anchor of hope, is that there was a reduction in female veteran suicide compared to our last annual report. You know, there are 2 million US female veterans in the United States. And so we really need to take this seriously, as individuals have pointed out in the past. that we really are informing our care around the needs of these women service members and veterans. And so I think it's very important that we have these women-centric interventions to help support them around those issues. So as I said, there was a reduction in death by suicide in the women veteran population. So that's a really good, important.
We love that.
Moving the needle, but we still have a lot of work to do.
And what do you find are some of the challenges for women to reach out to get the help that they need?
Well, some of the women on this panel pointed them out very beautifully. And some of those are just basically because they may be the primary caregiver. They may not have child's care. They may not have the finances. But also, sadly, but traditionally, when we hear the word veteran, we don't think of a woman. We think of a man. And so from what I've heard is that some women don't even identify as a veteran. So we're trying to change that culture here at the national level, but also here at the local level as well. And we do that by events like this. So again, thank you for doing these. We also have amazing partnerships with our CCBHCs. Erica Westbrook was on here earlier, state and other federal partners to again showcase the contributions and the service that our female veterans have done for decades.
Absolutely. And in order to access the programs that are available at the Providence VA Medical Center, are there specific criteria or application process, or if someone is in crisis, can they ask for help and figure out the rest later? How does that work?
Well, again, first, I want to just highlight, if, again, you're in crisis, please call 988. And even if you are a veteran and you forget to press 1, it's okay, because BH Link does an amazing job, and they also usually ask if you're a veteran, and they can actually transfer you to the VCL. So no matter what, there's a no wrong door approach. So with that said, because we are a healthcare system, there are eligibility requirements. But if you have served in the military, and that is actually a statement that we actually prefer when we do outreach rather than asking if you are a veteran, because again, some people don't identify. But if you have served in the military, please come to the VA. We're at 830 Chalkstone Avenue in Providence, or you can call 401-273-7100. Just, come and ask. And again, we can see if you're eligible. If you are, then we can go through that series of getting you followed up with an appointment, and obviously benefits if needed. If you are already enrolled in VHA Healthcare and you are in crisis, we also have same-day access, Deb. So in the main building on the 3rd floor, we have what we call a mental health urgent care. The hours are from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And you can come in and just check in with, a licensed clinician, a medication provider, get reconnected to services. And also we can then make consults if you need further evaluation or intervention, such as the Women's Health Program here, because I do want to highlight the importance that we have a dedicated women's health program here at the VA. Sage also mentioned that Joanne Barrett is a nurse and a veteran herself, and she's absolutely amazing. And she helps those female individuals get the very sort of niche services that women may need with regards to reproductive health, IPV, mental health, and primary care.
All of those things are services that can help make the load lighter. And I think when we help lift the load from someone, it helps them see the positive in the world to get the help that they need so that they don't find that suicide is the answer. But maybe a tiny bit off, but I just wanted to double check. At one time, your office had gun locks. So is that still something that is available for individuals?
Absolutely. Thank you, Deb. So lethal means reduction is a top priority within the Office of Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. And at any time a veteran comes to the VA and wants a gun lock, we will give them as many as they'd like, no questions asked. We can also mail them to the veteran if they so choose. But I also do a lot of outreach. And so what I've been doing and what we have been doing is dropping these gun locks off at the libraries. In fact, I'm going tomorrow to Narragansett Library to drop off some gun locks and some literature on suicide prevention. And also at all of the tabling events, also are with our partnerships with the CCBHCs and our SSG Fox grant, we provide them with the gun locks as well, if they ask. So we want to make sure that they are as accessible as possible. So please, if you know of anyone who would like a gun lock, we'd be more than happy to give them to them.
Kimberly, the work you're doing is life-saving in very, very tangible ways. And I appreciate all of your efforts. You are in the community everywhere, all the time, just trying to get people connected and get them the help that they need. And I appreciate that deeply.
Thank you, Deb. It's truly a collective effort. You know, I mean, it really does take a village. So not with just the clinicians here, but the veterans that we serve. They're a great way to provide and educate as well, right? And we also have an amazing peer support program here. Mel Costa, she's also a combat veteran, and she does a lot of work with the female veterans here, as well as, you know, all the veterans here at the VA Medical Center. So I just want to highlight that again, it's just not one person, one program. It's truly, you know, an amazing ecosystem of individuals who just work so hard. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Be well.
Everyone, my final guest is Kathleen Conlin, tongue-tied, of URI's Center for Military and Veterans Education Center. Welcome, Kath.
Thank you. And I'm also joined by Nancy Rabideau. Is she able to get? Okay, there she is.
Oh,
great.
Hi, Nancy.
So I'm going to have Nancy start off. We do have a PowerPoint.
Yes, let's get that going for you. All right, I'm going to drop. Go right ahead. Take it away, ladies.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nancy Rabideau, and if you could go to the next slide, that would be fantastic. I have been working in higher education for 35 years, so 3 decades since 1988, a long time ago. And my life work has been helping students. And for the majority of that, it's been helping adult learners and our veterans, our single moms. And it is by far the most deserving work that I have done in my entire career. What I do here at the University of Rhode Island is I work as the Finish What You Started coordinator, helping students figure out how to create pathways to complete their educations and start their education. But a little about me is I am a single mom. I also am an adult learner. I started my master's at 48 as the single mom. I'm also a professor at Johnson & Wales. I'm a survivor of a abusive spouse with 3 kids, was left homeless, and had to pick myself up. So I've walked the walk, and I consider myself an advocate for all people, especially when it comes to obtaining their education. Kathy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I actually started off in probation and then changed careers into higher ed. I've been at URI for 16 years now. I was an advisor in the College of Business, and this is a new role for me over here at the Military and Veteran Education Center. I've been here for a couple of months, but I was drawn to this. My dad is a veteran. My husband is a veteran. And I was able to fly with the Blue Angels a few years ago when the director of our Veterans Center was also commanding that squadron. So kind of like a nice little come together here. The center is located in the Memorial Union. So if anyone's been to campus, we're in the main hub right next to the bookstore. And I have my headphones on because I have a lively group of students sitting out there chatting with one another, doing homework. And we have a therapy dog coming in a little bit. So I think they're all excited. So it's great to be here. I'll have Nancy kick it off and I'll finish up.
Okay, next slide, please. So I like to always start when I talk to a group of people is that
The new traditional student is a non-traditional student. The average age of a student nationwide is 25. So here in New England, students start traditionally at the age of 17, more often than not. But in the rest of the country, students typically tend to have a not straight line in terms of getting their education. And I always think that all of us have a story to share that we can share in the classroom and on campus, and that all of our experiences are important. Next slide, please. So what I am trying to express today for our military women veterans is that here at URI, if you're considering about education and you want to use your benefits, that what we do, or what I do as the admissions counselor who helps students consider education, is really an emotional commitment to the choices you're going to make in your life. So it's not going to be a, hey, you know, we just want you to come to the University of Rhode Island and have someone cut a check. It's going to be more about, why is this important to you? So you're going to get one-on-one assistance. You're not going to do any of this alone. We have designated people on campus who are here to support you with making these decisions every step of the way. We have a lot of resources, some that we'll touch upon for you today. We are a military friendly campus. We possess an understanding of, many of us are active listeners. When we have orientation for our veterans every fall, sometimes there's more practitioners than there are veterans who are attending. That's how committed we are to our military affiliated students. You would never be alone here at URI. All you need to do, there's so many different people between Kathy and Bob, the director of the center, myself, many other people who have self-identified as supportive students, that you will, this isn't a scary experience because you will have help every step of the way. And I always like to say to students, I never know who's on the other end of the phone because one size does not fit all. Everybody, and as I said, has a story to share. And we're here to listen to that and help you figure out your next best steps. If that's not the University of Rhode Island, then I certainly will point you in the right direction. If you're not ready for URI today, tomorrow, next year, I might see you in a decade, and that's okay too. There's no pressure from our end. Next slide. Next up, thank you. So there are several resources for students at URI. We have the Finish What You Started program, which is for students who would like to complete degrees that have either never started or have been to 6 colleges. Maybe you have past due debt. Maybe you've flunked out of several colleges. This is our way of assisting you to figure out your what next. We have our Veteran Affairs and Military programs, as well as advisors who are trained to work with our veterans. We have an academic enhancement center to help you with free tutoring per subject, one-on-one or in groups. They also help with studying techniques, testing techniques. We have a writing center. We have a career center, counseling, and we also have disability services for students. So if you need extra time to take your exams, if you need to sit in the front of classes, I have one veteran who hates the sound of the keyboard. You know, and when he started school in the 80s, originally, he did not hear that click clack of everybody's laptops, and it really drives him up a tree. So he needs to sit in the front of classrooms, and sometimes he wears headphones, and that's okay. We figure out a way to help you be able to learn effectively. Next slide, please. So there's ways to fast track your education because everybody, you know, going full time sometimes isn't a possibility. URI has 2 summer sessions. We have a mini semester in January. We will accept some of your JSTs or military training as college credit. We offer club exams for free on campus. We have our own testing center. We take ACE certification, and we have prior learning assessment. And that's when we look at your life experience and see how that might equal college credits. So there's many ways to explore, ways to fast track and getting ahead and being recognized and valued for the experiences that you've had in the military or in your day-to-day life. Next slide, please. So if you're looking to get in touch with me, I'm at nrabideau@uri.edu. Truthfully, if you just want to have a conversation, that's okay too. But URI is a military-friendly institution. I am here to support you. And the wonderful thing that happens at URI, when I'm done supporting you, I hand you off to many others who are going to continue that support. And Kathy can continue and let you know how her department will continue to help you move forward to completing that college degree.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Nancy. So just to talk about what military friendly means, and we do have the gold standard, we have to complete an extensive survey, and many of the things that they look for are graduation rate, retention rate, job placement rate, how we help students who are getting out of the military transition into civilian life. We do have a veteran center on campus. And the one thing we are really, really good at is VA benefits. I think that Sage and Tracy talked before about the GI Bill. There's several different versions, options that students can use based on their past military experience. So we have a dedicated certifying individual that works in enrollment services, and she will have you fill out a form, figure out which benefits you're going to use, how they work. She'll give a breakdown of what the cost will be. She makes sure she looks at your transcript and the classes you're taking so that the VA will pay for them. And there's a back and forth conversation if there's any glitches, and try to make it as seamless and easy as possible. So that's something that she definitely helps our office with. And the students are very happy. They come in here sometimes first time using their benefits, a little bit stressed out, and we smooth it all over for them. So we are very proud of that gold standard military friendly signal. Next slide. This is who our population is on campus. We have about 450 to 500 military connected. And when I say that, I mean those veterans using benefits as well as dependents. So we have a lot of students who are using their parents' GI Bill. And many of them are traditional students, come in as freshmen. They might not necessarily use our services in the office, but they are welcome to. We have about 12 work study students that are here at all times, paid by the VA, which is fantastic. And we have a lot of National Guard students that are using waivers coming here. We have the ROTC students. We have the reserves, all different branches. So you never know what's going to come through the office. We consider ourselves an inch deep and a mile wide. Next slide. These are some of our goals. Like number one, I said, is to serve our military connected students with excellence. We create a sense of belonging. We do a lot of programming here. We have people come in from the university that help with career. They help with transcripts. They help with the benefits. Like I said, we're having the therapy dog. So whatever if we feel that the students are needing and ask for, we call it Topic Tuesday. They come in on Tuesdays from 10 to 12. We have cookies, and they just mingle with the students and help them out with whatever they need. We want to make sure that they don't have any issues with their benefits, and that the academics is probably the hardest thing that they're going to do when they get here. We also have a student veteran organization. So we have a president, vice president, and other officers, and they do some things like cemetery cleanups, hikes. They go to the national conference for the veterans every year, and they're just very active. They have an Instagram page, so they're talking amongst themselves in the office and get students together to do fun activities outside of the office and the classroom. And Nancy and I have partnered up to do things like this, get out into the community, talk to those that could want to come to URI, how do they use their benefits, and talk to the parents. So my office is actually right by where all the tours come. So oftentimes parents will sneak in afterwards and just say, hey, I want my son or daughter to use my GI Bill. How do they do that? And we put them at ease and let them know that we're a great school for it. And they certainly can contact us afterwards. We'll put them in touch with the right people to do that. Next slide. These are some of the flyers for the events we're having, the Topic Tuesdays, the student organizations. We do have a veteran support group on campus that's every other week, run by one of our faculty members who's a psychology and a neuroscience director. So that's fantastic. We've had some great conversations come out of that and some changes. We have some language put in our URI manual about allowing students to be excused from class if they get deployed or activated. So that was a really good thing that came out of that. And just some fun events as well. Next slide. One of the big things that we've been able to do based on some very generous donations from veterans and alumni is hand out money to those in need. So we have students fill out a form for financial assistance. We were able to give out about $35,000 last month. A lot of it, probably half of it, went to females. And that was, for anything from food, housing, books, transportation, you name it. So we're very proud that we've been able to give out that money. Next slide. These are some of the contact informations for the benefits that we offer on campus. The good thing is if you're out of state and you want to come to URI, you can get in-state tuition. And even if you don't move here, you will get that in-state tuition for the rest of the time that URI. So that's what parents really do love to hear, because it cuts the cost significantly. Next slide. And this is some of our veterans, to reservists, National Guard, Marine. They've all gone on to get their masters. And this was at the URI State House Roadie Day last year. And we will also be attending this year on April 1st. So it's a great day if you have a chance to stop into the State House. Everybody from URI will be represented there. And we're very proud of that. And I think that is the last slide.
I just also want to say thank you for having us. It was great to hear about all the different services that, sometimes in my conversations with students who are talking about the balances and the barriers they have in their lives, to have people that I can connect students with. It's always great to get that refresh and to put a face to names of people that I've heard of and connected students with. So super helpful from my end to hear about all these different programs.
Yeah, it sounds like URI is really thinking big about our military members and veterans and really making it as easy as possible to utilize the services and resources through your centers and to get the education that will move them forward. This is awesome.
Yes, we are. Yes, so thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for coming on today. This has been awesome. Well, everybody, we ran a little long, but that is okay, because this has been just a wonderful sharing of information and resources. As you all know, I'm Deb Burton, Executive Director of RI Elder Info and the host of Calling All Women Warriors virtual conference. I am very grateful that you have all joined us today. This has really been an amazing learning opportunity. If you missed any part of it, if there's something you're not sure of, if you're looking for the contact information, it's been recorded so you can watch it and share at your pleasure. Now, I am happy to announce that we are hosting our 6th annual Calling All Veterans Day on Saturday, August 16th, 10 to 1 at the CB Museum in Quonset, right by the Coles. Same place as we were last year. So again, that's August 16th, 10 to 1 at the CB Museum. I am looking forward to seeing everybody in person. If you'd like to volunteer, you want to be a sponsor, you want to donate for that event, let us know. It is a big community resource fair for veterans of all eras, their family, and the community. So make sure you put it on your calendar. You don't want to miss it. And if you have any questions about the organization, about getting connected to any services related to veterans benefits or older adult caregiving, or if you're a professional who serves them that has questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Deb at rielderinfo.com, or give me a call at 401-585-0509. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you all on Friday, friends, 9 a.m. on Friday. Be well and be kind.
Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.